We don't learn financial intelligence. We don't do our due diligence. We unfortunately didn't learn any of this stuff. Read, listen to your podcast, find mentors that are doing this. Reach out to me, reach out to Vikram Raya, reach out to, big name guys in the space, Frankie Davis, Alex Schlo, all these guys that are doing real estate investing. Reach out and don't be hesitant. Even if you have a deal that you want somebody else to look at, do that. At the end of the day, real estate can fit into any physician's life. You just need to find the level of involvement that aligns with your time, your goals, and your tax strategy.
This is my time. I'm on the right.
Hi, I'm Kyle Stevenson, and you're listening to the Assets and Orthopedics Podcast. In this forum, we hope to educate medical students, residents, physicians, and other high-income professionals on the power of investing, especially in real estate assets and syndications. We want to help providers gain financial intelligence with the hope of earning financial freedom. Please listen and learn so you can spend more time doing what you love with who you love. Enjoy the podcast.
I go 100 all day.
Hello, and welcome back to the Assets and Orthopedics Podcast. This is the podcast where we help high-income professionals, especially doctors and future doctors, build financial freedom without sacrificing their most valuable asset, time. I'm excited for today's episode. Today, we are diving into a question that I hear all the time. The question is, how much time do I really need to invest in real estate? And which strategy is best for my lifestyle as a physician? Should you be a limited partner? Should you run a short-term rental? Or go all in and qualify for real estate professional status? We're going to break down the pros, the cons, and the time commitment of each path so you can make an informed, time-efficient decision. The idea of this podcast actually stemmed from a message I received recently. Cool enough, from this message, it was from a medical student in Germany named Felix. And I love that this podcast is reaching doctors and future doctors from all over the world. That's the coolest part about it. I've been getting messages from New Jersey and Bozeman, Montana, and California, Scottsdale, Arizona, all over the U.S. for sure. This was the first message, I'll admit, that was from outside of the U.S., and that excited me. So I appreciate him reaching out to me. But with that being said, I love hearing from all of you. I would love to hear from everybody. Please don't hesitate to reach out via text, email, social media. Please, reach out to give me some feedback on the podcast and any ideas that you have for future episodes. I learn as much from you guys as you do from me. All right. So let's dive into this topic. So we're going to start with the most passive option, being a limited partner or LP on a real estate syndication. This is where you invest capital or money into a real estate syndication or fund, and someone else, the general partner, does all the work. So what's the time commitment to be a limited partner? It's minimal. This is the most minimal time commitment, which is awesome. Maybe 2 to 4 hours a year reviewing documents and wiring funds. And that's per project, right? Per syndication, maybe 2 to 4 hours. And a lot of that is spent doing your due diligence. So once you do due diligence and you give your money, then you can just sit back really and collect the distributions. And you really don't have to do much after that. So that's the beauty of it. Why physicians love this model, being a limited partner. You stay focused on medicine, you diversify your income stream, and you receive quarterly distributions without doing any of the heavy lifting. The general partners do all the work. Here's what you give up when you become a limited partner. You have no control over operations or asset management. You cannot force appreciation or add value like you could if you were an active investor or active in deals. And the tax benefits are limited. You do get your share of depreciation through a K1, but unless you have passive income to offset, most of it will just carry forward. So just to reiterate that point on the tax benefits, unless you're a real estate professional status, you'll get passive depreciation, which will only offset passive income. All right. And the beauty of that is, you're not doing any work. So not a big deal because you're hands off, but that depreciation will not help your clinical income. All right. And we'll talk about the caveats later. The coolest thing with this is if you're in multiple syndications, say you do one every year, you get passive income from one of them that you sold. Say you bought one 3 years down the road, you sold it. Now you got to pay capital gains. Well, then you buy another one and take the losses from that one that you bought in the same year, and those will offset each other. So as long as you keep doing this, basically planting seeds, then you'll continue to offset the passive income with passive depreciation. All right. So if your goal is mailbox money with essentially zero time involvement, very minimal time involvement, this is a great place to start. But don't expect to replace your physician income quickly with this route alone. All right. This takes time. And if you're seriously considering becoming a limited partner, there's one book that I highly recommend. I tell everybody this. I should just send it out to all limited partners, but it's called The Hands-Off Investor by Brian Burke. He is an operator syndicator. He wrote a great book, and I highly recommend it. It walks you through how to analyze deals and sponsors like a pro. You analyze deals and sponsors. That's the key, especially if you're not active in real estate. So it's required reading for anyone putting money into any syndications. And a quote that he says in the book, the biggest risk in passive investing is the risk you don't see because you didn't ask the right question. So to finish that section, introduce a teaser for you. We've got something big coming. I recently sat down and recorded a podcast with one of the most connected capital strategists in the world, someone who's built the largest network of ultra wealthy investors and family offices. His name is Richard C. Wilson. In our upcoming episode, we dive into how the top 1% are using AI to enhance due diligence, spot red flags, and make smarter, faster investment decisions. And together, we may be building something that brings those tools and strategies directly to physicians like you. So if you've ever wanted to invest like the ultra wealthy, you're going to want to pay attention and you're going to want to listen to that podcast episode. It is phenomenal. So Richard C. Wilson, and look out for any potential things that we have coming up together. All right. So next up, we first talked about limited partner deals. Next up is short-term rentals or STRs. Think Airbnb or VRBO. This is a more active strategy, but many physicians are drawn to it because of the higher cash flow potential. So let's talk time. Even if you use automation tools and a property manager, you're still coordinating cleanings, pricing strategies, repairs, and guest communication. And if you want the tax benefits, you will need to materially participate. That's the key with this. All right. So you can have a short-term rental. That sounds great. You know, you listen to the Semi-Retired MD. They're awesome. They have a cool platform that educates you on short-term rentals. You can buy a vacation home and you can get tax benefits by doing that, which is awesome. You got to be careful on what area in the country you do it. You got to make sure the laws haven't changed and all that. But there are ways to automate your short-term rental. I've done it and I continue to do it. But be careful on getting a proper property manager because we'll talk about the tax benefits. You have to do a lot of the work yourself and more than everybody else, including the cleaner, property manager, contractors. And so you want to automate some things, but you can't automate everything or else you won't get the tax benefits. All right. So here's the IRS definition that you need to know about short-term rentals. If your short-term rental is an average rental period of 7 days or less, it's not considered a rental activity under IRS rules. It's now treated as a business, which is good. All right. Because real estate, per the IRS, is a passive strategy. And even though it's not passive, truly, it's a lot of work unless you're just an LP. But because it's considered passive in most instances, we need to turn that into more of an active play, which is with the short-term rental tax loophole. So the average rental period has to be 7 days or less, and you have to qualify for material participation. That's the key. And what does that mean? There's 7 rules, but there's really only 1 or 2 that would mean anything. You just have to hit one of these. But I think the most common one is you have to spend 100 hours per year and more than any other person. That includes the contractor, the cleaner, the property manager. So be careful having a property manager just take over and do everything. You have to spend 100 hours per year and more than anyone else. The other rule is you could spend over 500 hours per year. That would mean you would definitely have to have more than one property. I'm not sure the exact number, but it would probably be more like 3, 4, 5 properties. So I think talk to your CPA about that. But again, if you hit those criteria, you could actively use your losses to offset W-2 income even without being real estate professional status or rep status. All right, so the pros to this: you get higher income per property than long-term rentals. There's flexibility. You can rent it out when you want to, and you potentially unlock real tax savings if you materially participate. That's important. What are some of the drawbacks? It can be time consuming, especially during peak seasons. You have to spend more time on it than if you just have a long-term renter in there. Management can be stressful unless you have a solid system in place. And I would highly recommend you have a solid system in place. And regulation and competition are increasing in many markets. So again, as I mentioned, be careful on which market you choose and make sure the rules and the laws don't change. So I think short-term rental tax loophole is a great low-hanging fruit for the strong tax benefits if you cannot get real estate professional status, all right? It's a great middle ground option for physicians who want to be more involved but still maintain flexibility. Now, I have a couple of short-term rentals, one in Charleston, one in Indianapolis, and I've automated some things. The nice thing is Airbnb connects with it's called the Turnover Airbnb app or turno.com. And so the cleaner automatically knows when somebody's staying at the place. But again, you need to spend more time than that cleaner. And you got to keep track of her or his hours. You got to keep track of your hours. And you got to document everything. All right. If you need any kind of reference to any of this stuff, don't hesitate to go back to a previous episode I had with Ryan Carrier on the whole real estate professional status versus short-term rental tax loophole and all the other tax benefits in real estate. All right. So if you're thinking about short-term rentals, but you feel overwhelmed with where to start, one book I highly recommend is called The Short-Term Shop by Avery Carl. All right. And it's through Bigger Pockets, I believe. I read it multiple times when I was getting started with my short-term rentals. And Avery, she breaks down how busy professionals like us can invest in high-performing vacation rentals without turning it into a second job. She covers how to find the right markets, finance your deals, and self-manage properties using systems and automation. It's a great blueprint for any physician who wants to boost cash flow without giving up all their nights and weekends. All right. So again, time-wise on this, 100 hours and more than everyone else per property. So if you have more than one, then just know that you're going to add more hours to it. All right. Third way that physicians can invest in real estate is the active investing of the real estate professional status, also known as rep status. I don't know how many physicians really know about this, but it's been called the holy grail of investing, especially with real estate investing. And so we're going to talk about it. This is the most time-intensive, but most rewarding strategy, active investing with real estate professional status. So if you or your spouse qualify as a real estate professional status, you can use real estate losses to offset your W-2 income, which is a powerful tool for high income professionals or high earners. All right, so here's what it takes to be a real estate professional status. Oh, I know what I was going to say. For real estate professional status, that does not mean you have to get your real estate license to be a realtor or a broker or agent. This is truly how true real estate investors, that's all they do. The Trumps, the Kiyosakis, the big names in real estate, Cardones, this is how they don't pay any taxes because they are real estate professional status. And therefore, they spend all their time in real estate investing, pay $0 in taxes. All right. Here's what it takes. And here's the tough part for physicians. You have to work in real estate more than 750 hours per year in real estate activities and more time than any other job you or your spouse has. Okay. That's the hard part. So this path is ideal for who? Physicians with a non-working spouse who can take on real estate full time. It's also ideal for those nearing retirement who want to replace their income with real estate, or those willing to treat real estate as a second career. Now, this is one of the most audited parts of the IRS code, so be very careful on what you do. I think the best way to do this for most physicians is if your spouse is a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home spouse, dad, whatever that is, they could technically take on this role. All right. Even though being a stay-at-home mom, my wife, i.e. my wife, she's very busy, busier than I am. And I think I get my break when I go to work, 3 young kids, but she is our real estate professional and it's fantastic. Per the IRS code, she doesn't work, quote unquote, even though she's busier than I am, but it works. And so she does the 750 hours in real estate investing with our properties. And because she's a homemaker, she takes care of the kiddos. This is more than her full-time job. As a physician, you work 40 hours a week. It would be very difficult to say that you work 41 hours doing real estate professional. IRS is not going to go for it. You would definitely get audited, and you got to be very careful with that. You could go part-time. I have a buddy, periodontist, who a lot of you probably know. I believe he is still part-time as a periodontist. And so he can get real estate professional status because the rest of the time per week, he is doing real estate activities. So what are benefits to this? Maximum tax benefits with a real estate professional status. You will do the cost segregation. You'll get bonus depreciation. And essentially, this will offset your active income. You control the assets and you can force appreciation. You can also build true financial freedom and not just passive income like you would with limited partner deal. What are some negatives to being a real estate professional? High time commitment, especially in the beginning. Operational headaches. You're taking care of the tenants, the turnovers, the maintenance, toilets, trash, all of that. You're taking care of it. And again, if you just have property managers, make sure you have enough properties to where you can do the asset management on the property manager so they can do the day-to-day, but you got to be careful with that. Make sure you're getting your hours and make sure you're truly documenting just like you would as a physician to make sure that you're not going to get audited. And if you do, you're protected. So there is a higher audit risk with this. Your hours and records need to be meticulously documented. All right. And talk to your CPA. Make sure they're on board and make sure they know what you're doing. That's a serious commitment, but it also creates the most leverage if done right. If you want more resources on this topic regarding real estate professional status versus short-term rental tax loophole, please refer back to my podcast on taxes with Ryan Carrier. It's a great episode. You'll learn a ton. And let's get this out there. So which path is right for you? How do you decide? Here is a simple framework. If you have no time and you just want passive exposure in real estate, go limited partner deal, go LP. You can literally, do your due diligence on the operator and the deal, but you will be passive. You'll wire your money over and then you sit back and collect money. All right. So doing your due diligence on the operator is the main thing. So you don't hand your money over to a crook who takes off with it. People do take advantage of physicians. All right. They take advantage of us just not having financial intelligence. And just a quick story, what really pushed me to start thinking like a general partner. So I had about 6 limited partner deals where I just handed my money over, didn't know anything about it. I was like, I want to get in real estate. This is great. Sat down with an operator, great guy. And he's like, hey, if you have any more doctor friends, let me know. He goes, yeah, we were always advised your best investors will be doctors, dentists, and dumbasses. And I was a little offended. I was like, man, you're basically putting me in the same group as a dumbass. But then I thought about it. I was like, well, when it comes to this stuff, we kind of are as physicians. We are dumbasses because we don't do our own we don't learn financial intelligence. We don't do our due diligence. We unfortunately didn't learn any of this stuff. Read, listen to your podcast, find mentors that are doing this. Reach out to me, reach out to Vikram Raya, reach out to, big name guys in the space, Frankie Davis, Alex Schlow, all these guys that are doing real estate investing. Reach out and don't be hesitant. Even if you have a deal that you want somebody else to look at, do that. So if you have no time and you just want passive exposure, go limited partner, LP. If you do have some time, are interested in learning the ropes and you want tax advantages, try short-term rental tax loophole with material participation. And again, that can be time consuming, but I think it's the lower hanging fruit than real estate professional status. So that's what I would start with. And if you're really serious about wealth building and willing to commit, you or your spouse, and your spouse has to be willing to commit for sure, build your own portfolio and pursue real estate professional status. All right. At the end of the day, real estate can fit into any physician's life. You just need to find a level of involvement that aligns with your time, your goals, and your tax strategy. So thanks for tuning in to Assets in Orthopedics. This is a quick podcast episode, but I love it. I wanted to, I got feedback and I wanted to put this out there to get you guys to understand this stuff, to educate, and hopefully it means something to you. So if today's episode sparked something in you, whether you're curious about short-term rentals, confused by real estate professional status, or you wanted to just dip your toe into a syndication, then mark your calendar. Join us in person at the Legacy RX Conference on October 24th and 25th this year at the JW Marriott downtown Indianapolis. All right. And I'll say that again. If you want to learn more about this stuff, mark your calendars. Join us in person at the Legacy RX Conference on October 24th and 25th at the JW Marriott downtown Indianapolis, overlooking Victory Field and Lucas Oil Stadium. It's a really cool spot right in the heart of downtown Indianapolis. And we have about 8 to 10 powerful speakers on these topics that we can help physicians go from the middle class to start thinking like the wealthy. And I'm talking the ultra wealthy, billionaires. This is all the things that they do. All right. It's no secret. It's just a matter of diving deep. All right. So we can educate you on this stuff. This event will be a high impact event where physicians, investors, and wealth strategists come together to learn how to think like the wealthy, invest with intention, and reclaim their time. We'll cover real estate, infinite banking, tax strategies, and more. So spots will fill up fast. All right. So visit LegacyRxConference.com to grab your seat. And tickets are available on there. And if you found value in today's episode, do me a favor. Leave a review, share this with a physician friend or a future doctor friend, or, if you're a medical sales rep, or if you are just interested in this stuff, a busy professional, it doesn't matter. I'm reaching out to all of you. I'm not just talking to physicians here. And I want our Legacy RX conference to be filled up with 200 people of the guys and gals that really want to understand this stuff and learn it and build a cool community of people. We're going to do a Friday night drinks, cocktails, at my buddy and his wife's distillery, and you'll be able to sit down and speak with some of the brilliant minds in the space. So please continue to pass this on to friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on our next deep dive. Until next time, keep stacking your assets and protecting your time. If you have any feedback, please let me know. Thank you very much.
This is my time. I'm on the rise. Can't hold me down.
Thank you for listening. If you found value in today's podcast, please leave a review so our community can continue to grow. If you would like to stay connected or receive a copy of your free investing ebook, please go to www.sharpinvestmentsllc.com, and that's sharp with a P as in professional. This is not financial or tax advice. Please consult with your financial advisor or CPA.